Welcome to Unleashed with Eva Melton, where we unleash spiritual principles for victorious living.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unleashed with Eva Melton here on 101.1. We're glad to join you this Sunday. This episode is sponsored by Clifford Melton of Keller Williams Realty. So if you're looking to purchase or sell a property, check with Clifford at cliffordmelton.com, cliffordmelton.com. So today I'm excited about it. I have like a really funny fellow in the studio with me. One of my buddies, just met him a couple of years ago and just have come to know him and his wife, and just glad to have him here. His name is Clinton Woods.
Absolutely glad to be here. One of my favorite people.
I'm glad you're here. So Clinton, in your own words, I want you to tell our listeners who you are.
Oh, wow. So, I'm just a kid.
Wow.
That was heavy. But yeah, I'm just a kid, really from Birmingham, man, that is really growing up. And, I feel like I have a unique skill set that can, if put to use properly, can really make some differences in several different areas. And so I've done it on smaller levels and now attempting to do it at higher levels. But I just think it's just really continuing to be consistent in who you are, what you do, and how you operate, and just kind of doing that on a bigger scale. So, I think if we boil it down, I would like to be known as somebody that's effective and just getting things done.
That's awesome. So Clinton, you have a family.
I have a family.
Yes.
I have a wife, been married about 7.5 years, and a 17-month-old.
Beautiful.
And next month we'll have another. The last one is coming next month.
The last one.
End. So it'll be a boy and a girl, and that is
awesome.
Enough for me. That's all I can. That's all I got.
Hands are full.
I can't keep more than two. I only have two hands.
Well, thank you. That is so beautiful. So for my listeners, I met Clinton. It's been a couple of years ago at an event, some type of organizing event that the Grassroots Coalition was doing, some work we were doing with Richard Rice. And I met you at that particular, I believe it was a forum. And just to see how I've gotten to know you, to see you in the different domains that you operate in, it's like I have been amazed at just the work that you do. But one of the things I think, a lot of people are getting to know you from a certain domain, but you operate in a lot of different domains. And so I talk about, sometimes people say to me, Eva, it's like you're 4 or 5 different people. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I just know what domain I'm in. I don't talk about Jesus in every domain. I'm Eva, but I have a purpose.
Right.
And my purpose expresses itself sometimes in more than the church and more than on the radio. And I operate in such a way that wherever I am with people, I communicate with them on a level that they can understand. So my divine purpose, I feel like a lot of times, is liberation. It's raising consciousness. That operates, I do it on the radio. I can do it on a show that has nothing to do with God. I can do it, in the community and organizing. I can do that through the church as my pastoral role. But Clinton, I want to know, what do you feel your divine purpose is?
Wow. So for me, it's interesting because I think, I've always been good or decent at a lot of different things. And so when you try to zone in on what specifically you really need to be doing, what your purpose is, I think it's, for me, it became clear over time, and that really was bringing people together. And so bringing things together, bringing people that may or may not ever enter the same room together,
yes,
and building something bigger than any one person could have built on their own. And so that's what I've seen, is just really being a communicator, being in the middle of things where people can't even hear each other because they're so far on opposite views, and being able to be a person that can let you know you're really not as far apart as you think. And so just focusing on the common ground, but really just being a positive person and focusing on how we can correct things. There's problems, and so I always push people, don't get stuck on the problem. It's easy to do, but don't get stuck on that. Let's figure out how we can solve it. And so that's where I put all my energy, because a lot of people, you're just so carefree. Well, I don't dwell on problems. And I just don't. And so I just skip that whole step of woe is me and just figure it out. And so that's been something for me. But I really think it's just kind of bringing people together and bettering lives. And so that's always been something I focus on. And it's manifested in a lot of different ways. And so,
wow,
over the years, I think finishing school, even coming through school, I was captain of teams and everything like that. But it was always just listening to people, hearing what people were trying to do and helping them have a plan to accomplish it. It was almost like a little bit like a Joseph spirit. So when you kind of look at almost like a number 2 rollout in a lot of different places.
Oh, wow.
And so almost operating in that to where you're able to kind of hear problems and come up with plans to solve them. And so, I wasn't always in the front to do it, but I was always in the mix to help come up with those ideas and have those opportunities to, put plans in place. And so that was something for me. And so when you talk about purpose, a lot of people find that at different ages, different points in life, but it typically comes after kind of what we refer to as brokenness. And so it's almost because you go through things and you kind of know your skill set. And I grew up a really shy kid, and so shy.
I can't believe it.
And so my dad especially, is not shy, and so he would put me in all kind of situations to break my shyness. And I pretty much until I just probably found purpose.
Wow.
I became equipped with everything I needed to achieve it and work and walk in that. And so, now growing up as that shy kid, pretty much all the way through school.
Wow.
Shy kid, still probably introverted at heart. But, now I say this a lot. I'll walk up to almost anybody and say almost anything at this point in time. And I think even meeting you, I saw you sitting on a panel. And was just intrigued by how you were balancing all these different things. And so I was just like, hey, I need to talk to you.
I know. I was like, what?
And so it just had a good conversation, talked about books, but really was learned a lot. And so that's one thing I've been able to pull information and knowledge from a lot of people. And something that is important to me is you don't have to always listen to everybody that's smart or everybody that's older than you. But when you see people that are wise, you better pull up a chair and listen sometimes. And so
right.
I felt that on you, so I just wanted to glean some wisdom. But
thank you, because I would have never been like, "Hey, let's catch up." No.
Yeah, and so and I probably wouldn't have been that way 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I mean, you kind of, as you grow and just kind of understand what your purpose is, and just really be that person that can meet, connect, see who's working on solving problems, see how you can help that, see how you can plug them in, see who you can point them to help that.
That's right.
And so I don't have to fix everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can connect people that are working on similar things and watch them fix it.
Right. And I tell people we can't do everything, but you do need to understand who is doing what,
right,
and who has the perspective to at least say, okay, I can't help you, right, but I know who can without feeling threatened.
Right.
And so that's something I've learned a lot from working with Richard Rice. It's just kind of he's similar to you with that. Okay, we got to find common ground somewhere. We're not going to all agree, but this person is doing this, so you probably do good working with this person.
Right.
Versus just saying, oh, okay, that what you saying don't make no sense and not saying nothing, so.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I thought you were about to preach for a minute. I may not be able to help you, but I know you can. I said, well, turn the corner. But no, I mean, it is. Richard is amazing because he's another one of those people that is a connector. So he operates in a lot of different rooms. He's got a tremendous skill set.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's a perfect example. But
yes.
I think I kind of want to circle back because a lot of people, when we talk about this thing called purpose, and and that's one thing, through my church, especially just pulling up different young people, just helping people find a path. And so one thing, you get a lot of people that just don't know what they want to do in life, what their purpose is, what they're supposed to do. And so part of that is just kind of moving away from what you think your plan internally is and what you want, and kind of giving that up and really hearing from what God has for you. And so it's literally, we tend, and a lot of people I've talked to have experienced a similar thing, but you almost go through a time of what's brokenness, and literally just kind of, look, because
this ain't working.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? So you have all these different, like I said, I was a person that was good as a lot of different things, so I was trying to do a lot of things, and so I had to decide, okay, you're gonna have to do one thing and be good at it.
Yes, and it may manifest in different ways.
Right, and so once I learned to just do that and follow where I was being led, really spiritually being led, and so. One thing I say is don't make rigid plans for the future.
Oh my!
And sometimes we'll plan out so far ahead that we miss the turns and bends in the road where we're being led, and so we miss blessings. And so the best thing you can do on this earth is be where God wants you to be when He wants you to be there.
Oh my.
And we're like living under open heaven, and you'll
wow.
really see the difference. And so, like I'm a humble person, and so, like I said, I grew up shy. Like I've both, like I've got bullied, I bullied people, and so I learned, like I know the 360 degree, issues around bullying, and just and being and can see things from everybody's point of view. And so that's one thing that's really helped me, is being able to have those different perspectives. But really, it is important to kind of not be so rigid in what you're doing, because you have to be able to be led. And so when you're operating like that, you tend to not. You don't have to worry about.
That's right.
Don't worry about things. And a good example I used to use is. I used to pay attention to, like, if this gas station had 3 cents cheaper, I would drive over there to get this. But it's just like a carefree, way of.
It's gonna come.
Right. And so you worried about, and I talk about it because I have a financial background too, so I do a lot of teaching in that space with people, and just how to manage money, how to, get out of debt, and what your plan should be on that front. And so, doing that, you really have to just focus more on, how you can develop and bring in more, and not so much on the
keeping.
The hoarding, because when you focus so much on this, you miss the opportunities to go out and create more opportunities to bring more in. And so that's just kind of a principle. We kind of want to wrap our hands so tight around everything that we do.
That's right.
Have, and
That's right.
what we think our purpose is, and this is what I'm doing for my life. This is it. Nothing else. This is my 55-year plan, and I got it. I'm good. And
we good to go.
I don't need any more changes. And so that's been one of the cool things. But I mean, this purpose thing kind of expounds, and people relate it differently. But it's really about just following where God's leading you.
Yeah. So you've been listening to Unleashed with Eva Melton. We are going to take a break. We're here today with Clinton Woods talking about divine purpose. We'll catch you after the break. Hey, welcome back to Unleashed with Eva Melton. I'm in the studio with Clinton Woods. How are you?
Still here.
Still here. So we've been talking about divine purpose, and you said two things at the beginning that I want to kind of bring back up. You said something about the plans we make versus the purposes of God. Proverbs 19:21, just so happen to have it here. Says, many plans are in a person's mind, but the Lord's purpose will succeed. Why are you laughing at me?
But that is a revelation that it takes people a long time to get. And so, like, when you do, like, life's just different.
It is. And you use this terminology, really kind of, and I don't know if it was before we started, but about being in the flow. When I feel like, at least from my perspective, after we talked about brokenness, after going through brokenness, I feel like some things got highlighted that were like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Because I feel like I was more vulnerable and open to God. Somebody says that the cracks, when we're broken, that's what lets the light of God in, right? But I feel like we're also in a more vulnerable state where we're really just trying to say, okay, God, like, what you want from me? Because this ain't it. So...
Yeah, and I mean that season is important. One, just so you have an understanding that it's not about you.
That's right.
Because one, you could be back in that place. So don't forget that piece. But I mean, like, I remember just kind of, starting a business and trying to push that. And if anybody does the entrepreneurs and started something, it's sometimes it's really, really great. And then sometimes it's like, whoo. And so, like, I remember, like, even just being in the because I just committed, so I'm gonna work on this all day. And so I would get up, I'd be down in the basement, I would search the state for projects and stuff, and just sit there all day, and stuff didn't always work, and so you just had to decide, what are you gonna do? So you really have to keep following that wherever God's leading you. And so I even experienced getting off that plan. Well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make this move over here, and it's going to work out like this, and really going through probably one of the most trying to put myself in one of the most trying situations, and just being, overburdened and more stressed. Like that's the only time in life I remember being stressed where I took a job I shouldn't have took.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned the lesson though. That's the thing. Like don't have to learn the same lesson 5 and 6 times. Whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is.
Ministry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't have to keep relearning the lessons.
Like learn the lesson and
like
keep going.
God to teach you clearly, and sometimes we get it and move on, but sometimes we circle back and if I do this differently this time, and I got a plan this time, so it's really just embracing where you're being led.
Mm-hmm.
Never forgetting that season of what that brokenness was and what it meant and kind of what you committed to do coming out of it.
Right. And so you use this terminology, being in the flow, and it's funny because I'm reading a book now called In the Flow of Life, but I liken when you operate in your purpose, it's kind of like a stream. Right. And sometimes you're just trying to swim upstream because you're kind of outside of your lane, really. Like you're going, it's like swimming upstream. You see people striving. I'm trying. You see them expending efforts and energy, but they're not going anywhere because they're not really in their purpose. But when you find somebody in their purpose, or even yourself, like we know what it feels like. It's like swimming with the flow of life, with the flow of the stream.
It's easy. And so it really, it's kind of, my pastor, Pastor Darius McClure now is in a series called In My Bag. And so it's literally just in your flow. That like, this is what you do. And so I operate in rooms where I'm in charge, I operate in rooms where I'm not in charge. Yeah. And so but it's the same thing. And so I treat, if I'm in charge, I treat everybody the same. If I'm not in charge, I treat everybody the same. And, I apply my same skill set. Mm-hmm. And so, the areas and things I'm good at, I handle those, and but I do know my weaknesses, and so I get help, and so that's one thing, and that's one thing you really want to continue to focus on what your purpose is. So you want to put yourself in a position to focus on that, and so a lot of times, whether it's ministry, whether it's whatever it is, people get so stretched out that they're not able to fully apply and focus their skill set on that purpose because they're trying to
do everything.
This and this. And so that's it's one of those things where once you understand what your purpose is, you have to protect that and make sure you're operating in that and not get off that track, because if you stay here, you're probably gonna be okay. Yeah,
and you got to be able to resource. Yeah. Your the areas where you're weak, like literally, like if that's paying somebody to help you in the area that you're weak, you just find that it's just so much easier because you don't even have to worry about it. Like let somebody else, I need you to own this and you can have it. Come to me if you have questions, give them some guidance, but you got to be able to just kind of, here you go, I can't worry about all this. And that's something I really learned in the process of church planning. Like, no, I need you to own this. Come to me, everybody, y'all funnel those issues up to this person, and then you come to me and we'll work. That's how people grow as well. But you got to be able to trust that God can use somebody else besides you.
Right. And so that's one thing, like and so that's the unique thing for me, because like I said, I've been the number 2. Yeah. I've been in charge. And so I do both. And so I understand what it's like to be number 2 and have things not happen the way you feel like they should. Mm-hmm. And so in my role as one, I try to apply those lessons. And so, but one thing I do keep around me, like for me, people that I spend time with, talk to, you gotta be willing to tell me like if I'm messing up. And so that's right. Like a lot of people don't like to have people in their lives that can be like, hey,
they walk away real quick.
You messing up. And so if you don't have that, you're in a dangerous place.
Yes, you are.
And so everybody, my team, anybody seek guidance from, you gotta be like, I have to trust you to tell me if I'm wrong. Like people love to tell you if you're right, but people are, why do you say something sooner if you thought I could have did that better? So, right. Because I'm so optimistic, I'll try to tackle every problem, and so I need some people to be like, hey, just leave that one alone. Yeah. So I will have to be pulled back some, because we can fix that. We can do this, and so. That's why I like being as busy as I am now, because I am a problem solver at heart, and if I see one, and there's small problems, I'm having to stop myself from trying to tackle, because I'll try to solve everything. So y'all need a 32-ounce Gatorade every day. So how can we, so we're literally trying to. But I'll try to solve everything, and so I'm trying to focus on and plan on. Okay, what are the big goals we're going after? And let's put plans in place to do that.
Yeah. So if you were, if somebody was to walk in here and say that they were struggling, finding out, why were they in this realm, why they were here, why God sent them here, what they should be doing, what would you say to them?
So it's something I do. Like I sit down with business owners, sit down with individuals, and just talk through it. And so like one, what do you want? And so literally it's just starting right there. And so even with youth, like if we can figure out what you want and put a plan in place to get that, you're gonna be attentive. You're gonna be able to. We have a starting point. And so from there, it's okay. What's your current situation? And so it's almost like the financial coaching piece.
Yeah.
So like until you embrace where we at right now, until we, let's get a good understanding of where we are now and why. And so from there, from you getting your base, okay, let's see what are we good at. What do you want to do? How does it overlap what you're good at? What opportunities are available to you now?
Yes.
And so like I was talking to one business owner, he was like, yeah, I'm about to get this landscaping thing off the ground, I'm about to do this, but before I can start, I got to get a new truck, a trailer, a riding lawnmower, 3 weed eaters, 3 blowers. I was like, brother,
you should need a lawnmower, man. Let's get a
lawnmower and let's get started, and then let's build.
That's what I'm saying.
So
yeah.
Sometimes people paralyze themselves by trying to accomplish the end vision at the beginning and it's a process.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And honestly, for me, like I just enjoy the process. Like there's one thing I did that had a major effect on my life was actually writing down goals. And so me and my wife, I think 2017, we actually sat down and actually wrote the stuff down. And
wow.
we literally have been checking stuff off.
That's awesome.
We made 6 months, 1 year, 5 years.
That's awesome.
And so we've literally been checking stuff, but it wasn't until, and I mean that's biblical.
It is biblical, yes.
It is. So people can read it, can run with it, and so it's literally doing. I mean, and it seems like, well, I don't have to write that down, but I mean, putting it there, making it real, looking at it, reviewing it, and we, so those things are important, and so you can't, sometimes we know what we need to do, and we just choose not to.
That's right.
So people hate when I use the example, but I always use fitness. Everybody knows how to be in shape. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's nobody that's like, man, I didn't know. Like,
didn't know that too.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody knows if you work out and you eat good, you'll be in shape. So it's not a question
mystery
of like how. It's just, are you willing to do it?
That's right.
And so that's all it boils down to. And so, that's really where once you find out, okay, what do you want, and then we can backtrack. This is how you do it. Now, are you willing to do it?
Yeah.
And so if you're willing to do it, I can help you.
Yeah.
But if you, well, I don't know, every Monday at 8?
Sleep in.
Well, maybe and just kind of like, well, if you wanted it. And so that's the biggest thing is you have to figure out what you want, where you're going. And so a lot of times your purpose is tied to your skill set, or your spiritual gifts and things like that. So, God's not gonna give you a purpose that you don't have the skills to fulfill it. So you'll be equipped to do whatever it is. And so I was one of the kids in the family. Like I come from a big family of pastors, preachers, and everything. And so, I was one of the ones growing up. I said, I'll be a deacon. I'll be up for deacon.
I'll
be a deacon.
Had it, Bob.
So like I never had any intention of ministering or preaching or anything like that. And so, the season where God put me in that. And so. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to.
Right.
I didn't want to, and I ended up doing it. But in that season, I went from being that shy kid growing up. And if I say kid, but I'm probably talking 26, 27. and so like I'm good at stuff. You're succeeding at things, but it's not what it should be. And so you're not maxing out your potential. You're not maxing out
that's
the
powerful.
gifts you were given. And so you can't settle for that. And so like I said, it could have been very good. Like I said, and me and my wife went back and forth on this. And so like we were actually living out of town. We were in Washington State and making a bunch of money. Everything was great. We could have stayed there. Great weather. The weather didn't rain in the summertime, but I just was out of purpose. I was not doing anything to help anybody else.
Right.
And it was killing me. And so, I started figuring, I was like, we're not staying here. And it was one of those things where you could stay here forever and be happy, and good, and not have a care in the world. But, we weren't in purpose, and so I had to come back somewhere where I help people make a difference.
Yeah, and we have the same story. I moved back here from Ohio about 5 years ago, and I feel like I'm here for a particular purpose in mind. Everybody, you've been listening to Unleashed with Eva Melton. I had Clinton Woods with me here on today. You can look up Clinton on Facebook, on Instagram, and find out more about him. But you can catch me next Sunday at 101.1 at 2 o'clock p.m.
Thanks for listening to Unleashed with Eva. I hope you were inspired, encouraged, and motivated to tackle a new week. For more information about the show, check out www.evamelton.com.